Good afternoon or good evening or good morning, depending on when you're tuning into this video. This is Cloud Chartist. I'm doing my weekly Ichimoku chart wrap-up for the week ending July 24th. It's Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, July 25th or 26th, sorry, right now. So we're going to start off, we're looking at crude on the weekly time frame. We see that crude was quite bearish last week after losing the Kijun-sen 2 weeks ago. Under the cloud, this chart is fully bearish. The only thing that is not completely bearish about this chart is we have the Chikou span. This is the red line representing price action time shifted 26 periods into the past. Let me get my crosshair activated here. This is inside this red candle over here on the January 19th. It's the Chikou is stuck in that candle. So if the Chikou drops below the candles, that would be a fully bearish chart for in Ichimoku terms. Also, one other thing that's not fully bearish, I just noticed, is we do have a bull cross. We have the Tenkan-sen crossed over the Kijun-sen. If the Tenkan-sen, the blue line, crosses under the Kijun-sen, that would be fully bearish for crude. So as far as what we can expect to happen next, I did note this support area of around 47.34 that I picked up from prior support and resistance in the past. And I'm zooming out so I can see if I can figure out where I saw that from. I made a note on the chart, I think, when I did this perhaps last week. I'm going to show you the monthly chart so we can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we see that we had this prior support in this area on the monthly. I'll zoom in on the monthly so we can see. So the Chikou span found support right here at this level because these candles also found support. These candles are from the beginning of 2015. This is January, February, March, April, all found support at this area. So it's possible that we will once again find support at around 47.34. We're currently at 47.97, so it's not much farther to go down. This candle did test a low of 47.72. But we could also, let me go back to the weekly since this is the weekly Ichimoku wrap up. We could, if we do lose this level, we could test the 41.57 below. That is just a fib level that I made from drawing fibs from the candle body high to low. So basically my projection is potential for a test of 41.57 if we do lose this 47.34 area, although we do have other weekly support levels in between around 44.65, 44.66 area could also find support. So we'll see what happens, but overall this chart is bearish. Let's go to the ES. So ES put in a bearish reversal candle after a very bullish week last week. The week before last was put in a bearish candle last week. It did, however, make a new high before doing so. So technically we are still in an uptrend in Ichimoku terms. Also, technically we are still bullish. Let me remove this fib. Make it clearer. So the only thing that makes me hesitant to say that we are fully bullish is that we did not close above the Tenkan-sen at the end of the week or at the end of the day Friday. I was hoping, for the sake of my couple of bullish positions, that we would close above the Tenkan-sen. The Tenkan-sen was at 20.80.63 and we put in a close at 20.78.75. We did, however, close above the daily level that I was looking for, which I believe was 2078.25. That is from memory, so let me look. Oh no, we actually didn't. The daily support level I was looking for us to hold the Kijun Sen here on the daily, but we did not hold that level either. The Chikou, however, is still inside the daily cloud here. So that is, whenever the Chikou has support, current price has support. Anyway, let's go back to the weekly. So if we are unable to get back over the Tenkan Sen, currently being at 2080.63, but it may open in a different location, chances are good that we'll come back down and retest the Kijun Sen below here, where we tested price action last week, currently at 2053.88. And if we did test that, the overall weekly chart for the ES would still be bullish. In fact, it would still be bullish even if we came down and tested the cloud down at 1988.75. So before you get all in short, you might want to consider that we have very solid support down here at 1988.75. All right, let's move on. Let's look at the Russell. Similar to the ES, except that we did actually test the Kijun Sen this week on the Russell, last week on the Russell, with Kijun Sen being at 1220.40. We actually didn't quite test it. We put in a low of 1220.70, so slightly above the Kijun Sen. So we'll see if we can retest the Kijun Sen and hold the Kijun Sen. If not, there's a potential for us to come down and test the cloud. Cloud is rising. This is overall a bullish chart, although we did not make a higher high on this candle, so we are technically in a downtrend at this point on the fast time frame on the Russell. Let's look at the NASDAQ. After last week's incredible NASDAQ rip due to various earnings reports, we put in a much smaller range after making a new high at 46.86. We came down, but this chart is fully bullish. We are still above the Tenkan Sen, above the Kijun Sen, and above the cloud. In fact, we didn't even come down and test the Tenkan Sen. So it would be healthy if we did test the Tenkan Sen. I'm not sure where the Tenkan Sen will open up, but currently the Tenkan Sen is at 45.0888. So that would be, a 50 some odd point move. And that would be bullish for higher prices. So if we do come down and test and hold the Tenkan Sen, that would be a buy setup. So let's look at the Dow, since I'm going through the indexes. The Dow put in a lower high and a lower low, so it's technically a change trends to the downside. We did put a close in under the Kijun Sen, so the Dow is a little bit more bearish than the other indexes that I previously looked at, as we were unable to hold the Tenkan Sen or the Kijun Sen. So the potential is there for us to retest the prior lows of this candle around 174.03 or 174 area, and then if not, we could come down and all the way down and test the cloud at 172.15. But that would still be fully bullish in Ichimoku terms. It's interesting to point out that the Chikou span is actually testing the Tenkan Sen here and holding the Tenkan Sen here, so we could just bounce from here and see the Chikou go heading up above these candles. Let's look at some treasury bonds. This is the 30-year ZB. We see that after last week we put in a close above the Tenkan Sen here. I mentioned that we would be trading in a range between the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen. We did indeed test most of that range as we came up and closed just under the Kijun Sen resistance at 155.10. I recommended a short at 155 in my room, and on Friday, so we'll see how that turns out. We could continue trading in a range between the Chikou, between the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen. This configuration, although bullish, the Kijun-sen being crossed over the Tenkan-sen is bearish. So for bonds to get back into full bull mode, we need to see price action over the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen, and the Tenkan-sen crossed back over the Kijun-sen. Let's look at 10-year. 10-year is looking a little bit more bearish on the weekly time frame, as it's a lot more bearish as it's bearish. It's under the cloud. It's also finding resistance at the weekly cloud. In fact, tested inside the weekly cloud and was rejected. So the 10-year is bearish in always Ichimoku, except that it's holding support of the Tenkan-sen here. The Tenkan-sen's down at 126.025 currently. So we could, if we see upside on the 10-year, we could continue to be rejected by the cloud, but the cloud is a little bit higher at the moment. High VK. Then if we reverse, we could come back down and test the Tenkan-sen. If we do go higher and move into the cloud, then we have the Kijun-sen just slightly above the cloud that will provide resistance. In fact, the confluence of the Kijun-sen and the cloud could be strong resistance for the 10-year. One other aspect I'd like to point, or two other aspects I'd like to point out in this chart is the Chikou span, this red line over here representing price time shifted 26 periods into the past, is coming into potential resistance above at the Kijun-sen, which is around 127.070. So that's sort of midway between the bottom of the cloud and the top of the cloud. So if we do move into the cloud, we could find resistance as the Chikou finds resistance at the Kijun-sen. We also have can make note of the cloud, the shape of the cloud, and the character of the cloud as it is flat and sideways moving. There is a little bit of a ramp up going into October, but basically we have a flat cloud on the 10-year. And price action, when faced with a flat cloud, tends to stay close to the cloud and trade in a relatively tight range. Let's look at some grains. We'll start off with corn. Corn on the weekly, after putting in this very bullish breakout above the cloud, was destined to pull back. It's very unusual that a strong momentum move where price started off below the cloud and then broke through the cloud can sustain above the cloud. It's very unusual in Ichimoku Charts. So the week before last, we put in a reversal with some topping tails and started heading down. And then last week we came down all the way to almost to the Tenkan-sen. You see that I've drawn a rectangle here. That rectangle represents the area of the gap that is below. So if we do lose the Tenkan-sen, we could continue down and fill this gap. We could go all the way down to, let's see, 384.75. Fill that gap. That also is still inside the cloud here. So we could even potentially come all the way down to 378.79. The Chikou span, the red line here, does have support coming in at the Tenkan-sen. That would be at next week. It will be at approximately 391. That area. So that could be a potential support zone also, which is sort of about 50% of the gap. It's similar. It's close to the top tail of the candle before the gap also. So keep that in mind as well. We'll see how things go throughout the week. But so this chart is to be considered neutral in Ichimoku terms, as price inside the cloud is neutral, neither bearish nor bullish. The fact that it's holding the Tenkan-sen is bullish neutral. The fact that it's over halfway from the top of the cloud to the bottom of the cloud is also sort of slightly bullish. Let's look at wheat. Unlike corn, wheat is bearish on the weekly time frame. Last week, after the prior week, where we held support of the Tenkan Sen, last week we just continued to sell through the Tenkan Sen support, through the Kijun Sen support, and below. Also, the Chikou span lost support of the candles, so is now below. So this chart is fully bearish, and we could continue lower to test this previous support area around 502.50, and then we could also continue lower even to 488 area, or even a little bit lower to 482 thereabouts, unless we see a reversal higher. If we do see a reversal higher, the first resistance will occur at well, we could find resistance at this prior resistance level at 517.50, or we could also find resistance at the Kijun Sen above at 539, 540 area. Let's look at soybeans. I've been seeing a lot of soybean photos on my Twitter stream from farmers that I follow, and the soybeans seem to be doing really well, and at least from the farmers that I'm following, they seem to be posting robust, healthy soybean crop pictures. And the price is reflecting that, or soybeans are bearish. We found rejection from the cloud on the last 3 weeks, and then last week we continued lower, losing support of the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen, and continued lower. This is a prior support area for soybeans, however, around 960. So we could find support here, and or we could continue lower to previous areas of support, such as or resistance turn support, I should say, like 940, or even as low as 922, 923 area. But so overall, this chart is bearish and under the cloud, and the Chikou is also under the candles. So no real support in Ichimoku terms, just looking at prior horizontal support levels. Let's look at coffee, which put in a, oops, sorry. Let's look at coffee, which put in a new low. This chart is very bearish. In fact, we could be headed towards this prior support and prior resistance turn support area of 116.74, which is a fib level that I have on this chart. You can see I ran my fibs from this swing low candle body close. Actually, it was the candle open from 103.23 to the high close of 221.78, coming up with this fib. We lost the 78.6, and so we could be heading towards the 88.6. But fully bearish in Ichimoku terms for coffee. Nothing to suggest the potential for reversal, except for just potentially this small bottoming tail. We're not even oversold on this on the weekly time frame either. I realized that I didn't go over gold yet. I usually do gold earlier in the video. Nice to see I have some people watching me record this video live. Hello to Kumar and Shazzy. I am doing a bit early. I have some plans later this evening. So looking at gold, we see gold has been extremely bearish. We lost the Tenkan Sen support back in June, and we have been trading down ever since on a closing basis. So gold has been a great swing short. In fact, I would argue one could have shorted gold back at around 12.15, 12.16 when it lost the weekly cloud here. But even safer when it lost the Tenkan Sen here the end of June, so around the 22nd of June, continued lower. So this chart is fully bearish, but we are a bit oversold, like not quite oversold, but heading towards oversold. You can see I have the RSI on the bottom of the chart, and we put in a pretty significant bottoming tail here. So we'll see how things go with gold. Could be a buy setup if it is. If the bottom's in for the moment for gold, we could see higher prices back towards the Tenkan Sen. Tenkan Sen's currently at 1140.30. That will provide resistance and would be a potential short area to consider. Let's look at silver. Silver is also bearish, but it's been holding up a little bit better than gold. In fact, silver looks like a potential reversal candle here, sort of a hammer type candle, pretty long wick in comparison to the size of the body. If we do see a move higher in silver, we'll be thwarted by the Tenkan Sen above, which is currently at 1575. And you're just here for the Chikou, Shazzy. Let's see. Let's look at the dollar. Dollar is bullish in all ways, Ichimoku, except for the fact that we do have a bear cross of the Kijun Sen over the Tenkan Sen, but the bear cross is offering support at the Kijun Sen. We found support at the Kijun Sen. In fact, it looks like almost precisely at the Kijun Sen. Let's see, the low was 96.95 and the Kijun Sen was 96.97. So really a perfect test of the Kijun Sen support below and hold. So this, the dollar still looks quite bullish. If we do manage to lose the Kijun Sen, we could test the Tenkan Sen below at 95.80. Or wherever that opens up in the new week. But we do have rising cloud support also, so there's nothing to suggest any potential sell-off for the dollar right now. Just in candlestick trends, the trend is still up as we made a higher high and a higher low last week. Let's look at the euro. Euro chart is still fully bearish, and we, after getting some buying interest off the lows at like 108.40 area, we did come into resistance at the Kijun Sen above at 110. So that should continue to provide resistance until we can get over it. And once we do get over 110 on the euro futures, this is the futures contract, not the spot, then we should be attracted towards the flat Tenkan Sen above at 111.34. But overall, bearish for the euro. Let's look at Aussie. Aussie even looks more bearish than the euro. Nice downtrend here. Overall, fully bearish in Ichimoku terms. If we do get buyers, we will have resistance at the Tenkan Sen above at 75.36. We do, however, have oversold conditions in RSI for Aussie, so that could help catch a bid. Let's look at cable. The British pound futures. We see that cable looks a lot stronger than both the euro and the Aussie. But we are still bearish under the cloud, and we did lose the Tenkan Sen support that we're holding last week. So as we move sideways, we're going to crash into the cloud eventually, and cable will need to, the pound will need to decide whether it goes up into the cloud or whether it continues down and tests the Kijun Sen below. Unless anyone has any requests, I'm going to wrap this video up and just point out that I do have a special going for the rest of July for my chat room service. If you are interested in signing up, it's only $99 a month for the time being. After the end of July, it's going to go back to $149, my regular rate. So if you have been thinking about signing up and you want to lock in this special rate of $99 a month, that would be a significant savings. If you wanted to stay a member, that rate will be locked in for the life of your membership. So you can sign up via the link on wherever you happen to be watching this video. And if you can't find a link to sign up and you're interested, please contact me via email at cloudchartist@gmail.com or via Twitter at cloudchartist. Thanks for watching, and good luck trading this week, and take care.